Hey guys, welcome to my Codegarden talk, all about content apps and in particular Campaign Builder. So just to start off a bit about myself, as much as I've been working with Umbraco for many years now, this is the first time I've ever talked at Codegarden, so it's a real honour. It's also a real shame that we can't do it face to face. So I'm the founder and MD of a small agency in Bournemouth in the UK called Cold Banana. I founded that agency 6 years ago, and our main focus is around Umbraco builds and integrations. So what am I going to talk about today and what can you guys get out of it? So I'm going to cover off kind of what the capabilities of content apps are. Some of you have obviously worked with content apps before, I can imagine. I'm then going to dive into the campaign builder package that we've built, and a few teachable moments along the way, and I'm sure a lot more. So what is a content app? I'm sure most of you are fully aware of what content apps are these days, but for those of you that aren't familiar, content apps are effectively extra tabs that you create inside Umbraco, and they sit alongside a content node. So you'll see here I've highlighted them in red. These are some of the custom ones that we've created for our campaign builder, and they basically extend the editor's experience beyond the standard content fields that you'll get on the content tab. But what did we do before content apps existed? So we obviously had custom sections, custom dashboards, and they would be where we would create third-party integrations. We had custom fields within the content tabs as well, and here I've used an example of the SEO checker. So what we've got here is a snippet field, I suppose, of what Google would look like for this page, and it's very much a custom field view using content that is already on your page. So why are content apps useful? Well, before we had content apps, there was no way of integrating extra information around content to sit alongside content. You'd have to go to a custom section. The only really way, like I said before, was to do it via custom fields. So this really gives us a custom screen that sits alongside your content to really show related information, whether it be within the site or an external third-party integration. You can show it alongside your content. Much better user experience for the content editor. So I've always said that content apps are much more than just pretty charts. Most of the examples that we see of content apps that have been built over the last couple of years of what I call read-only, I suppose. So my first impression of content apps was that they were to show the user or the content editor information about your node. So whether it be a Google Analytics tool showing data around that node, or an SEO tool showing how your content will look and feedback from how it will perform from an SEO perspective. So Umbraco described content apps when they first came out as they give you information and feedback on the content you're creating. So again, you're driven to believe that content apps are just for displaying information. They weren't designed to be additional editor fields or screens. And we learned that the hard way, I suppose, by this process. So this got us thinking, could we create a content app that managed content from a third-party platform or an external platform? almost every website that we work with these days or platform has some sort of third-party system, whether it be an analytics engine or a marketing platform, a mailing platform, CRM system, payment providers, ERP. They've all got some sort of integration with them. Which leads me on to talking about Campaign Builder and where Campaign Builder came from. So at the same time as we were thinking about what could we do as a content app, what could we build, we got a client briefing from a global brand that wanted a new CMS, and they also wanted a campaign engine that would allow them to build campaigns, send out emails, SMSs, all the kind of standard marketing campaign automation stuff. So it all started here. This was our first idea. Let's build Umbraco alongside a Dotmailer platform, which is obviously now Dotdigital. Two very separate systems, but excellent in their fields. But our issue with this was there wasn't much creative thinking. The pros and cons of a system like this, like I say, you've got two fantastic systems, both in their own right, but no innovation, no integration, and most importantly, no shared kind of consumer analytics across these two platforms. So the second idea was to start to use content apps within Umbraco to effectively show third-party information. So the user would build a competition or a landing page within Umbraco, and this would be integrated with a campaign automatically generated on Dotmailer. So the pros and cons of this, obviously we would have one integrated system. The user would always log into Umbraco and they would see all of the information around their campaign in Umbraco. And we start to use content apps to make life easier for the user in this instance. But again, there was no single consumer analytics database. Users would be logging in on the front end via Umbraco. Consumer data would then be held around marketing stuff in Dotmailer. We wanted a single database and a single source of truth for that. So this led us on to our third and final idea, which was getting rid of Dotmailer, taking some of the learnings from a system like Dotmailer and rebuilding some of that core functionality as a standalone application within Umbraco. So again, we would continue to use content apps, but all of the consumers would sit within Umbraco members. We'd extend the Umbraco membership system, and everything would be within one platform. So, like I say, we've got one platform, one place for the user to log into. That kind of editor experience is much, much better. We get to play with content apps. The downsides were that we would lose the Dotmailer capabilities and we would have to rebuild the nice UI that Dotmailer comes with, as well as the kind of enterprise level marketing automation tools. So if I fast forward 12, 18 months, where do we get to? And how does it all work? So hopefully you can see that and it's not too zoomed out. So it all starts with building a campaign. So in this instance, I've built a landing page within Umbraco, which is a competition page, for example. I think here I've called it Win a Trip to Dubai. We've then got a campaign content app that would show this information. This basically gives the user the ability to build a marketing automation campaign around and off the back of the competition. So you always start a campaign with how and who is going to be enrolled onto this competition. And in this example, I think we're selecting a segment of data from the consumer database. Fast forward a couple of steps, this is what it would look like once you've built your campaign. So you start, like I say, with a segment of data. The green box shows an email being sent, so you'd send an email to your whole segment of data. You've then got a delay. I think there's a 4-day delay where it kind of waits for the consumer to do something. You've then got a decision node, which is the purple one. And this is where you then start to split data. So depending on, I think in this instance, we check if the user has opened their email. If they have opened their email, then they just become a completed consumer, which is the end node. If they haven't opened their email, what we do is we send them an SMS message, which is the pink one. So you can start to make decisions about consumer activity throughout the process. That decision node itself, we've got multiple different actions, whether they've completed the competition already, whether they've clicked on links, whether they've done certain activity within their consumer database or their consumer management section. So there's lots of different things that we can start to kind of act upon depending on the user's actions during this campaign. So after a campaign has been made live, we show a different set of content apps. So obviously now we don't want to edit the campaign, we want to view reporting and information based off that campaign. So here is the campaign reporting screen. So again, you've got the user flow, the user journey, the automation journey along the top. You've then got some details around the campaign, and then you've got analytics underneath. So this is analytics on the whole campaign. You can have quite extensive campaign workflows. So you may have multiple emails being sent within one campaign. So down the bottom, you've got all of the emails that might have been sent. So if you can click on those to see a bit more information. So if I zoom in just on the section at the top, what we've got is we can track the consumer's progression around different steps within the campaign. So this tells me the number of consumers that have been sent an email and that are waiting to progress to the next step. So this becomes really useful when you've got decision trees, so you can see the number or percentage of consumers that are completing that decision or not completing the decision and what they then do next. So if I come back to the campaign overview, like I said, down the bottom we've got things like open rates, click rates. We've also got comparisons to the rest of the brand. So we can compare how this campaign is performing to the average campaign that the brand might do. If I was to click into one of the emails, I then get specific email reporting around some of those individual emails. So again, the click rates and the open rates for that individual email, the most popular links and who's clicked on those links. Then down the bottom, we've got all the individuals that have been emailed and when their email was sent, if there was any problems sending the email. And if you click on the little envelope icon, it will then open up their actual email, copy of the email that was sent. So again, we're using some of the inbuilt functionality with Umbraco, with the infinite editing and Umbraco 8 to just make this kind of user experience really nice. So I've taken you over the campaign builder tool, and that's very much building a campaign. There's so many extra parts to the campaign tool itself that allows it all to come together. So for example, there's a whole consumer management section where you can edit consumers, you can see their brands, you can see brand activity, you can start to segment data like you would within MailChimp or Dotmailer. We've also built competitions and games to allow those brands to really kind of use the engine and push it forward. There's a whole coupon management system, so coupon codes get sent out within the system, QR codes, and I'll talk about that a bit more in a second. So the whole platform has been built for extensibility. We wanted this system to be able to cover any potential campaigns that a brand might run, whether it be UK based or globally. We know different brands do different things around the world, and we wanted it to be extendable so it should pretty much handle anything. So some of the examples of campaigns that are running right now around the world in different markets. So in Romania, we have the platform's been used to generate 1.5 million coupons. They've been printed on leaflets and sent out. So people would come back onto the platform to redeem their coupon and be entered into a prize draw. There's some instant win prizes as well as a grand prize. So that's running as we speak. In the UK, we've run SMS surveys where a set of consumers will be emailed. They will be not emailed, sorry, they'll be sent an SMS and they will reply via SMS whether what their kind of rating of the product was. And then they'll automatically be sent a gift voucher via SMS to say thank you for taking part. Refer a friend. This is running in Germany. If a consumer refers 3 friends, then they automatically get the ability to redeem a free gift. Also in Germany, we're just launching a game where consumers are emailed the kind of invite to play the game. They come on the platform, they play the game, they get entered into obviously a leaderboard, and whoever comes at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the campaign will get a prize. All of that leaderboard management, emailing the prize, redeeming the prize is all managed via the platform. There's no external systems. The game itself has been built by us and it's been integrated into the platform as well. So a question I get asked all the time is, how did we handle the scheduled tasks and the background tasks of all the things going on with a platform like this? So like any marketing automation system, we have a lot going on in the background, whether it be sending emails, auto-segmented data, running campaigns, creating reports, normalizing data. There's just a lot going on and it's very intense. So we needed to come up with a solution to be able to handle that. We first started in the early days of just using Umbraco scheduled tasks. Obviously, it's part of the core product, but we soon found it was quite unreliable. Unfortunately, it was obviously we didn't have to implement any external packages, so that was a big advantage, but it was very inconsistent. We found it was just kind of, because it was on Umbraco Cloud, we found it was just falling asleep. Also, it had no UI, so when things stopped working, we didn't have any way to kind of really dig into why it wasn't working. This led us on to trying Hangfire. Hangfire, we thought we'd found a solution to all our problems. The UI was fantastic. It allowed us to monitor queues, manage the jobs really well. The overhead costs were kept down. We weren't relying on any external services or processes, so it ticked all our boxes. Unfortunately, the main issues started to come when we started to load test the platform. The setup we have for our solution is that we have multiple instances of Umbraco in the cloud, all using a single consumer database. So Hangfire was running from all of the individual instances and hitting the central consumer database. So this started to cause a lot of kind of duplicate problems, all running the same campaigns at the same time. And it started to have a big performance hit on each of the Umbraco cloud instances. As Hangfire runs on those individual cloud instances in our setup, it was having a big performance issue on those individual sites. So where have we landed? More recently, we've landed and we've moved everything over to Azure Web Jobs. The main reason for this is to manage the performance and the reliability. Where we're dealing with a lot of transactions, millions of transactions going through the site, whether it be activities or consumer interactions with campaigns. The load on the individual websites was too much, where we had all these background tasks running. So we still think in the future that we will configure the product to work with Hangfire when it's made as a package, and having that switch to the more enterprise level solutions will run off our own Azure Web Jobs, and the smaller scale solutions will just run off kind of Hangfire as part of your Umbraco website or solution. So our learnings from building the campaign tool and using content apps. So like any agency or software house, we made a series of mistakes as we went along. We changed our approach on several occasions. I wanted to kind of discuss some of those with you. So one thing we initially started to do and we tried was actually the content of a campaign we were trying to save to the actual node within Umbraco. So we were trying to use Umbraco's obviously inbuilt fields and things like that to actually save the content of the campaign. This became a massive problem because what we were doing was switching between the content tab and the content app, and we were finding that actually we were overwriting and losing data all the time. So we stripped out all the campaign data, and it's now in a custom table which sits alongside the content node tables. The next thing was around the loading of content apps. We found that actually every content app is loaded at the same time as you load the main node. So this was quite heavy, as in we were doing a lot of API calls to load all the different content apps, but also we were finding that because some of the data, because some of the elements weren't visible at the time, some of the graphs and the graphical information wasn't displaying correctly. So we had to put in some kind of hacks around the actual content app that was being shown, and tying into the on tab change to actually show that data. This third one's quite simple, so just be careful with the number of content apps that you show. I think we got to a point at one stage where we were showing 5 or 6 different content apps, and it got very messy, and it really kind of ruins the user experience. So try and reduce those content apps as best as possible. I think what we then did in the end was start to combine some. We had tabs within content apps, we had kind of different screens within content apps. So we found 3 was the ideal number. Restricting access. So there's 2 different ways to obviously create a content app. You can create it using a package manifest file, which basically describes what the content app does. Alternatively, you can use C# using the content app factory. This was much more preferable for us. It gave us the ability to really show and use extra kind of information on when we were going to show these content apps. So if I go to the next screen, hopefully you can see some of this code, but we do a lot of checks for each content app to show and hide it at the right time. So for example, we check if the campaign's live. If it is live, then we show all the reporting dashboards. If it's not live, we show all of the editing ability around campaigns. We show different screens depending on the type of the node. So we, depending on whether the campaign has coupons or not, we then show coupon content apps, and also depending on the user access level. So the brand that we're working with works with a call center. So they have a certain access level to just be able to see certain reporting. So we've got reporting content apps that they're allowed to see, and then we've got different content apps that the actual brand is allowed to see, which gives them a bit more information. And the last one is a bit more of an open thing around when is the right time to use a content app. Something we always battle with during custom development within Umbraco is when should we use a new section, when should we use a dashboard, when should we use a content app. And it's quite simple, really. I think for those of you that have built content apps before and you've done it for the first time, you really understand the power of them when you're a user and you're viewing content that is related to a page. If you've got any content that's related to a single page, then show it in a content app. So, for example, if it was analytics, I think it's always a good one to revert back to. On a page level, you want to know the analytics for that page. You don't want a content app showing you the analytics for the whole site. It's pointless. Whereas actually what you want to know is how is that page performing in Google Analytics. So if it's anything related to page content or an extension of that page content, then it should be a content app. So what does the future hold for the campaign builder? So we finished development for the platform probably over a year ago now. Some of these issues, some of these bits that we're talking about here actually have already been implemented over the last couple of months, but we had to put a hold on a few things. So we started making it a package, probably 9 months ago, and we've half built the new UI, but we are kind of ramping up where we're taking the package and the platform at the moment. So we are starting to form a dedicated team around pushing this forward as a solution on its own, and to really bring it to market as a package. So I talk about SMS and surveys. That's actually now in the tool already. We wanted to implement some of the notifications a bit better around content apps and the notifications you can have on those. As I say, releasing as a package is our highest priority thing. But to do that, I think we need to re-implement the Hangfire solution. Like I say, we've moved all of the stuff for our enterprise client to web jobs. But if we were to release it as a kind of encompassed standalone package, we do need Hangfire to be working seamlessly in that front. The new UI is pretty much there. And we want to introduce an email builder. So building emails within the campaign tool at the moment is fairly basic, a few templates and things like that. We want a nice MailChimp style email builder, and we've started to scope that part of the work out. Yeah. So thank you very much for having me.